Externally, you will see the Flemish brick bond pattern, used with an imperial brick to give its appearance more permanence and mass. This was explored in the design exploration stage. Moving on to the internal load-bearing wall, this will be constructed with a 215mm wide concrete block, and as you can see, there is no internal fabrication. This is because the thought process behind using a concrete load-bearing wall is to allow the design exploration stage of the project to be expressed, allowing tactility to be incorporated throughout. In this scenario, the concrete slab will then rest on top of these blocks. In order to support the brick detailing that follows, the concrete slab needs to reach over to the internal face of the external wall. In order to prevent thermal bridging, this scenario uses a Schrock detail to provide a thermal break. Reinforcement bars will have to be cast into the concrete slab. A 100mm high-performance rigid insulation then infills the gap between the two concrete slabs. A 200mm rigid insulation is then continued below this detail. In order to ensure ventilation throughout the cavity, insulation clips are then attached to the brick ties, securing the insulation in place. The brick ties are then connected from the external brickwork to the internal blockwork. These will be made out of stainless steel, along with a drip to prevent water travelling along the tie, reaching the internal face, leading to damp. A 200mm rigid insulation sits on top of the concrete slab, continuing the thermal break. Moving towards the front facade, a copper downpipe is being used, which overlaps the external face of the brickwork. The guttering is being designed to sit on top of the concrete slab, as well as the external facade, to create a flush finish. Again, this component has been made and coated with copper. The brickwork is then continued upwards, however this time it is stepped back. These layers will then expose the aggregates used within the bricks. Marine ply then sits on top of the rigid insulation with a fall into the guttering. 200mm rigid insulation then continues upwards throughout the parapet. An arch is then formed and the brickwork continues. A membrane is then used to cover the cavity, then capped with a coping stone that is angled onto the roof of the building to prevent water from dripping down the front of the facade. The marine ply is then coated with a copper flashing. Moving on to the roof components, the rigid insulation is then protected by a mat, followed by a single foil sheet, and then a membrane to prevent water leakages, topped with a drainage board that is angled towards the gutter. At the perimeter of the parapet, stone is used to reduce the flow of water. The drainage layer is then topped with soil and seeded grass.